This is Odin from the show. I've had a couple of responses to the video I last put out concerning the President-elect Trump, and a couple of the immediate responses that I've seen from said election. And I wanted to answer a couple of them, specifically one series of questions that seem to have a common thread, and one person has more or less asked it point blank and very straightforward in a way I think everybody should be able to understand. But before I dive into that real quick, I just want to say that for people who are whining about this to the point that they're starting riots and fights and whatnot, stop it. Stop. That's immature, that's stupid, and that's the same kind of stupid, idiotic behavior that you were chastising when it was Barack Obama who was elected, and you look down upon that type of behavior. Don't do the same thing. Now, for the rest of the people who are being typecasted in these stupid little blame liberals or blame conservatives because you are all the source of the problems and whatnot, that nonsense needs to stop as well. Yes, there will be extremists for each of those ideologies. There are extremists for libertarians, there's extremists for green parties, etc. The extremists are the issue, and we can't let the extremists rule us all or speak for us all. Regardless of whatever camp you want to align yourself with, we're all still human beings. We're all still citizens of this country. We all still want to be able to live and prosper in this country. We want infrastructure. We want jobs and careers. We want to be able to socialize with whoever the heck we want to socialize with. We want to be able to live our lives and enjoy the same freedoms and rights that every other person in the United States of America gets to enjoy. And if one of us can't do that without destroying somebody else's life, all of us should pay attention to that. Going straight to the big questions. The first one, and he brought this to my attention here. He asked, do people out there actually think that electing a single president, no matter who it was, is really going to significantly increase their personal risk? And my answer to him was, in essence, yes, some people do think that. Do they rightfully think that? I don't think so, but they do think it. They don't have any sort of solid foundation to think that Trump or Obama by themselves can do anything. We have checks and balances in this system. And yes, there are ways that they can try and sneak something around it, but eventually it will get caught, it'll get filtered out and get dealt with. And if we all decide to get up for about one weekend a month and do something about this politically as a united group, then we won't have to worry about some politician out there sneaking off some piece of legislation that will affect a bunch of us. So we can stop that if we all choose to unite and do so. But let's go a step further. When Obama was elected, the biggest thing was he's going to take our guns. He's going to disarm us all. He's going to set up death panels with Obamacare. He's going to be able to call all these people and bring in Muslim extremists to rule the country. We're all going to be under Sharia law. Obviously, that's nonsense. Obviously, he's getting ready to hand over information and power to Donald Trump. We see that. But that was the rhetoric there. There was the church burnings. There was the racist issues going on. There were people literally being run off the road who looked black. Didn't matter whether they were black or not. If you look black, you were a target. That crap happened. Now, if you look like a Trump supporter, you may be a target because of some idiot out there as well. Guess what? They're both wrong, and they're both done by idiots. the other part of this, and this one really dives into the real essence of the conversation that we all need to have. I don't care where you are on the political spectrum, we all need to have this. And he asked, do people honestly believe that the majority of Trump supporters, or even conservatives / Republicans in general, are racist and sexist and KKK members? And that right there is a damn good question. Because if you had just passively asked this in some way to Republicans prior to this election and Democrats prior to this election, you get Republicans saying, no, of course we're not. And Democrats saying, yes, of course they are. Because you have some of your leaders that reflect this. Now, Democrats, if you open your eyes and look a little bit closer, you'll see the very same type of behavior that you find deplorable on the Republican side exists on the Democrat side as well. You're just going to have to peel the layers off or look behind the curtain and see exactly what's going on there. Now, if we can actually address those issues, both systemically and directly on an individual basis, then we won't have to worry about putting up leaders who are racist, sexist, homophobes, or KKK members. And while we're at it, my own personal request to everybody else there, can we put up some people who are scientifically literate? Please. This administration here right now is scaring me. Not because I think they're going to start marching off, deportation armies and Klan armies, David Duke is going to be the head of Homeland Security. But because of the stupid ideological policies and beliefs that they have in their heads about how climate change shouldn't be a concern because that's been a fabrication of some Chinese conspiracy, or that vaccinations, well, that's optional, or that evolution doesn't happen, even though we are literally making industries that are fundamentally rooted in evolution, or a bunch of other things right now that we really, really need somebody at the helm, or at the very least in any of those positions of power, that understand what is going on from a scientific and technological standpoint. We don't have that. We need that. But back to his original question and his point there. If we honestly, all of us together, collectively come to the table and say, look, here's my fears, here are my concerns, here's what I think is happening based off of the leadership that you see up there. Can you say yes or no? Is this what you want? Do you want people to be racist? Yes or no? Do you want people to be sexist? Yes or no? Do you want to have some sort of privilege where you benefit the most and somebody else who does the exact same work doesn't benefit the same way that you do because of the color of their skin or who they choose to marry or which baseball team they enjoy? And the vast majority of people, Republican, Democrat, liberal, green, whatever, will say, no, that's wrong. Why would I want you to suffer when I'm doing well and we're both doing the same thing? The vast majority of us wouldn't tolerate that. The vast majority of us have understood, at least to some degree, what happened in America's past and say, no, we shouldn't be doing this again. But we cannot let ourselves passively get dragged along to the corners of whatever political ideology we believe in because of the extremists. We outnumber them. I'll pull a number out of my rectum here, at least 50-1. We have brains that function. We have the ability to communicate civilly with each other, whether we disagree on the finer points of some sort of policy or not. But we can say, yeah, we'll come together. No, you know what? You shouldn't have to suffer just because your hair is red or black or you're wearing dreads or you shaved your head. Because I do it and I don't suffer. You're not harming anybody. You should be able to live the way you want to live without harming anybody and while you're contributing to our society. Period. That should be the discussion there. And if you want to argue about, how we should pay for birth control or, when is a good time or never a good time to have an abortion, or what should we do about contraception methods and techniques, what we should do about the abstinence teaching, whether it should be abstinence only or abstinence with contraception, whether we should allow gay people to marry or not. Answer is they're human beings. Two people want to get together and have a contract with the government, whether it be the state or federal, that recognizes their union and they can act as one body. That should be upon them, and their agreement with the state should be valid just as much as any other contractual agreement with the state or the federal body, the federal government, to allow a male and a female to enter into that contractual agreement. So that's that. And we can explain it like that to them. They'll be like, oh, well, maybe, that's a good point. That's a good point. You know what? I'll keep my religious beliefs and ceremonies to myself. And so long as nobody's forcing me to do something outside of that, we should be okay with that, right? Okay. So if a gay couple comes up to a pastor and says, hey, look, I want you to marry us, and the pastor's like, well, I don't believe that. I don't think that's the right thing to do. Could you find some other pastor to do it? You know what the gay couple will say at that point? Because this is something really, really touchy here with this, but very delicate. But here's what happens there. Okay, we'll go find somebody else that will, and there are pastors that will gladly do so. And you get to lose out on us being a part of your congregation, being part of your community. And when people see that, other people will leave there. And that's how it's supposed to work. Now, if you're running a business, here's where things get a little bit hairy. But if you're running a business and you have two people who legitimately come in and say, I would like a cake. I don't like saying it. Congratulations, Tom and Fred, on your wedding. And the owner says, I don't want to do that because I don't believe in gay weddings. That is iffy, but I'm going to lean more towards the side of, look, they're not asking you to write Adolf Hitler on there, and don't try and compare that to Adolf Hitler or Mao Zedong or whatever else, evil Knievel, evil being you want to put on there. If you don't feel like writing two people's name on a cake like you do for Bob and Susan, you might want to get out of the cake business. Now, if they say kill all white people on the cake, I'll be one of the first people to say, yeah, this is wrong. You two get the heck out of here. Done. Because if you start denying gay people service for something that is reasonable, and that is very reasonable, then it's not that far of a step to say, I'm going to deny you service because Fred and Susan just so happen to be an Asian and Greek couple, and they want to get married, and I don't believe in Asian Greek unions. I don't believe it, even though their babies look beautiful. I don't care. That's against my religion. That step isn't that far. And it's only a few more steps before you say, we don't serve Catholics here. You're Baptist? You don't belong here. You should go somewhere else. See what happens there? When you start oppressing one, it's not that hard to start oppressing somebody else. Democrats, collectively speaking, please step up and voice your thoughts because right now, the biggest people out there, the loudest voices out there are the whiners and the crybabies and the you can't say anything that could be deemed offensive, so you must shut up and I'm going to shut down your free speech. Even though you're not saying anything offensive, and just because you disagree with them, suddenly your free speech rights are going to get yanked. They are just as dangerous as the Klan and as those stupid people in North Carolina's legislators that tried to block people from voting. They will try and oppress their speech. You hate that crap? You should hate this other crap that's going on in your camp too. To both parties, both of the major parties and all the other 9 different smaller parties out there. Now is a perfect opportunity for all of you to come together. Got a bunch of whiners in every single one of your camps right now. You got your extreme racists, you got your crybabies, you got the we run Islamic tax footprint for the United States group. Let's just shape up here right now. There's a lot of things you enjoy and collect by taxes. Shape up. Come together to the table. Realistically discuss what is going on within your local society and your environment and deal with it. And then when you have enough local groups of people, regardless of their party affiliation, working together, then out of those groups, you see a representative emerge that will accurately look after what you are fighting for. And we can hope that they won't get corrupted once they enter into Capitol Hill or wherever they are, wherever your state body is, where everybody assembles to govern. And they won't be corrupted by money or power. Because we can avoid that and we can prevent that. And we can have eyes into what they are discussing. Then we can ensure that our ideas and our concerns are vetted and brought up to the table and discussed properly so that way they can find solutions that are not only tangible, but come in an appropriate timeline to be able to benefit us and the future generations, and could also help other people out as well in different areas. But this is a pipe dream. Nobody's ever going to come to the table and discuss it. No. I mean, look at Facebook. Republicans are hating on Democrats. Democrats are hating on Republicans. Everybody's yelling at each other. Trump victory. Trump wins. Trump is not my president. Trump's a racist, sexist bastard. Trump is innocent of everything. He's never done wrong. Both sides of that mock conversation that we actually do see in social media and in public, both of them had their heads up their collective asses. And if I got to be the only one shouting this out, so be it. People, we all need to come together and discuss the issues that affect the areas that we live in and what's happening for us here and what we want to do in the future. And then we can start expanding our sphere of influence to other people in different geographic regions. So if we come up with a solution that works for us, we'll be able to at least give it to them and say, hey, how can we tailor this to make it work for us as well over here? But if a lot of people say, oh, that'll never happen, that's a pipe dream, you haven't even tried. You've given up before you even started. It's going to take some work. People are going to have to sit down and listen to each other first. You're going to have to listen to some of the ills and the stereotypes and the bigotry and whatever. Even though we say, well, I don't mean to offend you, but well, just say it. Just say it. We get that. But if people can't sit there for 5 minutes and listen to the other side who's trying to say, this is what scares me, and then quell their fears by saying, oh, this is completely untrue, here's what we really believe, or, well, yeah, we think this way because this is our concern. Like what I've been telling some of the people beforehand when Obama was elected, a lot of these people who are gun nuts were driving the conversation about Second Amendment rights to scare people. And when you tell them, hey, no, Obama's not out to take your guns, they're like, oh, now he is, blah, 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 this and all that, and all the people he's got over there are going to take our guns and buy up all the bullets and blah, 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 blah. And like, no, man, no. When in reality, when you sit down with them and talk to them for about half an hour, the truth comes out that, look, I'm a responsible gun owner. I want to be able to own a firearm. I want to be able to buy ammunition whenever I see that, to feel the need to do it. And yeah, I support background checks, but I don't want it to be so overreaching that they would know every Tom, Dick, or Harry thing about me on a moment's notice, or that some law will get passed that be well-meaning, but there'll be some crazy loophole that would be so far overreaching that we will have a harder time undoing that mess. I get that. And when it's explained that way, then we can come up with a solution to say, all right, well, we definitely need some controls in here, but how can we do it to be able to make sure that there aren't any illegal sales going on, protect the people, give law enforcement the tools that they need while still maintaining your rights and liberties. And then we can craft a solution from there. But what do I know? I'm just one guy on some YouTube channel spewing out all this crap. Honestly, people, if you want this to stop, Republicans, Democrats, whoever the hell you are, you want this nonsense to stop the extremists from speaking for you. They may have a valid point to make, so extract the valid point, talk with them, and if they don't want to listen to reason, just shut them out. When they calm down, when they wise up, bring them to the table. All of us need to do this. All of us need to check ourselves and check whatever little privilege that we have in our heads. And for half an hour, listen to the other person. See whatever she or he has to say. Understand where they're coming from. Find out the root cause of whatever scares them. Address it. Deal with it. When you make their concerns your concerns, they're more likely to make your concerns their concerns too. When that happens, and when the bitterness ends, enemies become friends. I'll see you all out there. Have a good night.